Yeah, so in talking about your DevOps journey, we do have this thing called GitLab. It's one of these things that I'm really passionate about. Would you be interested in taking a look real quick? I can just share my screen and give you a brief tour of what this product does. You would? Okay, great. One thing to note is that I don't have an engineering background, so these are just things that I've learned. But if we have additional questions, we can schedule another meeting in which one of our dedicated SAs, he could walk you and your team through some of the things that we're talking about today. So, okay, let me share my screen. Let me know when you see it. Do you see my screen? All right, great. Yeah, so this is GitLab. And specifically, this is GitLab running GitLab itself. So here we have all the GitLab source code. And you can see all of our SCM capabilities here. So anything that you have in a GitHub or a Bitbucket, we have the exact same functionality here. And so this is your complete versioning system. If you go over here into the file view, then you can see we can go back in time. And because of this, we have accountability and transparency in our organization. We can see which people have merged, which changes, and when. And if we needed to roll something back, it's super easy for us to do so. So here's the changelog for the entire project. We also have a web IDE, and this is intrinsic to our belief that everyone should be able to contribute. So we make the barrier to entry for contributing to our project low. Someone who, without a technical background, they can still make changes here all through the web IDE without needing to know all of the Git CLI commands. So if I wanted to change something here, add new text, then it's very easy to do so. So that's the SCM side of things. Let's actually take a look at some of our features surrounding workflow. So a discrete unit of work in GitLab is called an issue. And here's a sample issue. So this is to add a chart to one of our views. And one of the things that we are really, really great, and one of the things that differentiates us from many of the other tools out there is because GitLab is an all-in-one solution. Tons and tons of different teams can use GitLab, and ultimately that creates better collaboration. So what I basically mean by that is GitLab doesn't just have functionality for development. It also has functionality for security, for test, and for DevOps. And so all of these teams, once they're consolidated onto GitLab itself, you have more collaboration across your organization, allowing for better products and for just like better quality work. And I'll show you what I mean. So here's the discrete unit of work. Someone's describing what they need to do. There's proposals and things like that. But you can see people are collaborating on this issue itself. And so this could be someone from test, this could be someone from a different engineering team, this could be someone from security. And one of the unique things that we have about GitLab is because there's so many different teams using it, we have higher quality collaboration across our enterprise. So ultimately speaking, this creates higher quality work. Over here on the right, we have some of the different functionalities that we have built into issues. As you can see, you can assign an epic or a milestone. Other things that you could do from an accountability perspective is to put in time tracking. That's really great because if an engineer is just spending a ton of time on the same issue, then we have visibility into that as a management staff. We can assign due dates, labels. You can create as many labels as you want. You can give a weight. So if this is a really important issue, then we can give it a higher weight, health status, and we have other functionality like locking issues in case this is something that people, it's just another control that we have built into this. So this is the issue view. And milestones, it's basically a group of issues. So if I have 20 issues that are surrounding, one part of my website, or if, I'm trying to, it's just a way of grouping issues together. And so on the bottom, you can see all of these issues that have to do with this grouping. Over here, we have aggregated all of our issues for a specific release. So you can see all of the GitLab 13.1 issues here. And one of the things that we give you is a burn down chart. So a lot of times management's not entirely sure when a release is going to be due. but just by showing this burn down chart, we actually have a really great gauge of when work's due. So as you can see, we give you this line that you can use to project and, talk to stakeholders about things like that. Here's our epics view. It's not working right now, but this is just another way of grouping issues. All right, so now that we've talked about issues, let's talk about how our developers solve these issues from a GitLab perspective. So what we do is we have this thing called a merge request, and what a merge request is the ability for developers to change code and ultimately solve issues. So it could be creating this new button, it could be, adding in a new chart. And so this is the description for the change that they're trying to make. And once again, people are collaborating on this, right? So the value of GitLab, and one of the really great differentiators for GitLab itself, is the ability for so many different teams to use the same tool. So we can see that people are going back and forth. Some of these people could be from the test team, some of these people could be from the security team. And all of this communication and collaboration ultimately creates higher quality work. Over here, if I go in the changes section, we can see all of the individual changes that this engineer is trying to make. All of the green text is the text that's trying to be added. We're trying to swap out this red text. And that's fundamentally what this merge request is. So one thing I'd like to point out is this pipelines view. This is one of the really great differentiators for GitLab. We allow you to have CI automatically built in. So no one had to go in and click a button. All of these CI jobs got triggered automatically. And as you can see, there's many different jobs that we're running. So the first stage is to prepare artifacts. Then we're going to build container images. And then we have this great test section. So this is going to give my engineers really high quality feedback on the changes that they're proposing. And once again, all of this CI runs on the merge request itself, so that we've validated whether or not these changes are going to help my product. Some of these tests are going to be tests that we've written, but also security is built in right into the security step as well. So things like SAST and DAST, we have fuzz testing on our roadmap, all of that's built in here. Where's all the magic happen? So all of this CI is super customizable. In this view, if you don't want certain of these items or if you want additional items, it's completely something that you can tailor to your own specific organization. And if you go into here, you can see that literally all we have to do is modify some of the stages that are here and define what these stages do. So this is the GitLab ci.yaml file. It's a file that's in our repo itself, and this controls all of the CI for this specific project itself. Great, now that we have a understanding of issues, how to solve issues, how we can group issues together, our CI, let's talk about some of the management and security functionality that we bring to the table as well. So we give you a lot of metadata as part of GitLab, and this is the issues dashboard. As you can see, the number of issues that are being created is just going up in time. So, as a leader in my organization, this indicates to me, hey, maybe it's time to start thinking about hiring new engineers, or does this mean that the quality of our product's decreasing, right? So these are things that really matter for me in terms of making business decisions for my organization. So we can group these charts many different ways. This is by priority. You can also see that these are bugs created by severity. You can customize these charts, but it's just giving me insights so that I can make sure that as a leader that I'm putting my chips into the best possible place. All right, let's talk about the security side of things. So this is a huge differentiator for GitLab. We have security testing that's built into the CI process itself. So as opposed to having to hire security engineers, you can just have security testing that's built in. And one of the things that's really cool about this is that we scan your applications, and then a security engineer can get all sorts of insights. Management can come in, and I have visibility into my application at any given point in time through GitLab itself. So for this repo that we were taking a look at, you can see the number of vulnerabilities that we have. You can see that they're grouped by severity. And you can also see what the CVE is that corresponds to this, and also where it came from. So this came from a specific file, yarn.lock. This came from a specific file, tooling/overcommit/gemfile.lock, and so on and so forth. I need it. All right, so now let's talk about dependencies. So a lot of times your dependencies go out of date, and we scan all of your dependencies for you as part of the CI process if that's something that you enable. And you can see here's all of the vulnerabilities for some of the dependencies that I have. And once again, you can see where these dependencies came into my project with the location field. So the real value of this is that we can prevent our developers from spending time unnecessarily. So what happens a lot of the time is a developer will introduce a new library, they'll spend 2 months using it, and then a security engineer at the end will realize, oh wait, there's a problem with this library, you need to go use another version. But the big problem is that that engineer then spent 2 months using the older version of the library, and so he's got to rewrite a bunch of the code now. So as part of the CI process, we can prevent all of this unnecessary work by giving these developers feedback much earlier in the process itself, all through our built-in CI process. Where do the security tests run? Well, they run in our CI itself. And so this is a view that I already showed, but just to reiterate, our security tests, they're actually built into this test phase. And this is something that you can configure for your own enterprise as well. So we're testing SAST, DAST, and many other different things as well, all through our CI process, ultimately giving our developers real-time feedback. So I know that was a lot of things to talk about. What do you think about some of the things that we shared today? Great. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what the answer is as for Kubernetes configuration is. Is that something that's important for your organization? Great. I'd love to schedule some more time with one of our dedicated SAs, and we can talk through some of these use cases that we're talking about that you just mentioned. Would you be interested in that? You would? Great. Okay, yeah. Let's just take it from there. Thanks.